Okay, hi.
Hello.
We figured it out. All right, so we are in the Insight program. I'm Alivia. I'm an AI fellow, and
I'm Raphael. I'm a DS fellow.
so I wanted to interview Raphael because he's super smart and super cool, but also I want to hear about his research. Like, I want to know, why did you come to Insight, and can you tell us please about your two really awesome educational experiences, because they're actually really cool. I'd love to hear about it.
All right. Yeah. I work for Intel, and I came to Insight because I felt Insight was going to be the icing on the cake for me in terms of just adding more education or adding more certificates to the educations I already have. And my educational background is actually varied because I did my bachelor's degree in Russia in Mendeleev University of Chemical Technology, and I did my PhD at Georgia Tech, and right now I'm wrapping up a master's degree at UC.
So wait, what did you study in your PhD program?
So at Georgia Tech, I studied material science and engineering. At Berkeley, I'm doing a master's degree in data science.
So when you were doing your PhD program, did you do any data science there, or machine learning? How did you get started in it, or how did you become interested in it?
That's a very good question. Actually, throughout my PhD, I didn't touch anything data or related. I was doing a lot more experimentation in my PhD, and so data science for me coming out of college was actually a new field.
Oh wow! So this was self-study on your own?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay, so what were the best books that you read to get started? I haven't read this, but
That's a very good question. Yeah, I think some of the best books I've read were actually videos I saw online, and most of them actually were from Udemy. And I think Kirill Eremenko is probably one of the best teachers. I would recommend you going to that if you're
who is that teacher?
Kirill Eremenko.
Okay.
Yeah, Udemy. So it's some of the classes are Python A to Z, R A to Z, and then machine learning A to Z. So those were some of the courses I found really, really insightful when I started my journey in data science.
That's awesome. And so, can you tell us about the project that you're working on in your master's program right now? Because that was actually really cool and full of interesting data.
Yeah, that's another very interesting thing I worked on. So in my master's degree program at Berkeley, I'm actually doing I worked on several projects. One of the projects I worked on was on cancer detection in mammogram data files. So right now we have over 400 gigabytes worth of data, of mammogram data files that we source from USF. It's publicly available, but you need to do a lot of manipulations on the data, and that's what we've done. And right now we're working to improve the accuracy as well as recall, F1 score, and precision on the data set to match or best precision and accuracy that you would get from a 10-year trained radiologist. So that's the goal that we hope to meet by the end of the semester.
So you're saying when you got the data, it's really dirty data? How long did it take you to do the pre-processing, and how complicated was that, and what tools have you been using to do it?
Yeah, another great question. Yeah, it took me literally 2 months to get the data to the stage where I could feed it into a convolutional neural network. And most of the packages I've been using some of the packages are Python packages, and some of the packages I actually had to custom write myself, but they were all written in a Python environment.
Awesome. And can you tell us about your Insight project? Because that's actually really cool too.
Yeah, so my Insight project is what I fondly call CAT, Convolutional Neural Network Assisted Transcription. So what the project entails is that you're trying to transcribe from a very cursive and very difficult to understand Russian handwriting to typed versions of the Russian handwriting. So what happens is that Russian language is very cursive, and native Russian language writers actually write in a very cursive and very difficult to interpret format. So my goal is to try to make things a lot easier for internationals that are going into Russia to basically be able to transcribe this very difficult handwriting into a typed version that's easier to read.
And so when you started this project, did you find any available data sets of Russian transcripts, or was that difficult, or how?
another great question. I think I did find Russian characters that were available from Kaggle, but that's not sufficient for you to do the eventual transcription of the word, of the Russian word. So I needed to actually find space and then augment that with other characters that I felt mimic the transition probabilities or the transition scenarios of different characters in Russian language, in Russian alphabets.
Cool. And one last question.
Sure.
Okay, so there's a lot of people who are like really interested in like getting into data science and like maybe like don't necessarily know where to start. Would you have any like advice for someone who's like a newbie and might want to start? Like, what should they be reading? Like, what type of project could they tackle? Where could they find cool data sets?
That's a very good question, actually. For me, for me starting out, I think the first thing I would advise any newbie who's trying to get into data science is to first fall in love with the language itself. The language of data science today is Python or R, and much more Python for the most part. So you want to make sure you actually learn and fall in love with Python. I think if you fall in love with Python and then you take that one step and then you fall in love with statistics, I think to me, I think that's like the recipe for a good data scientist. If you have those two in your arsenal, then every other aspect of data science actually just falls into place. So that's really my 2 cents.
Cool. Well, coming live to you from San Francisco, the new office space. Cool.